Hey guys, Faxi here, and we're back again to the modular tutorial with the Scope Fusion platform course. So, talking about noise, and we're going to be showing some of the things that you can do with noise. Before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about why noise? What is so special about noise? I mean, for God's sake, it's noise. Like, what the hell could you do with noise? So many of you do, I'm sure, do use noise. If you're interested to begin with in modular synthesis videos, then you've messed around with noise before. Talk about it for a minute. Anyway, so it's useful for a ton of things, and we're going to show a few of them in this video, some basic things, and just a little bit more in depth, but just some of the stuff. The first reason that noise is very useful is because what it gives you is doesn't have harmonic content. It isn't biased to any frequency. So you basically get a uniform frequency across, and that is especially if you're dealing with filters, as we are dealing all the time in electronic music and modern music, and especially modular, and you're subtracting frequencies, right? Because you're filtering frequencies out. So when you're starting with a noise source, you're starting with all the frequencies. So you're getting basically a sound, a source that will respond to any filtering you do, because anything, like if you take a bass sound and you put like a low pass filter on it, but it's very open, then it won't affect the bass line at all, right? Like maybe a tiny bit. And if you take like a really narrow high pitched sound, then like a high pass filter on an open setting won't affect that affected by anything that you do. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And the other thing that to keep in mind is especially relevant for electronic music, because you're making basically, even if you think that your music is in tune, like you'd be playing like the same notes on every single synth and every single sound, it's still not exactly in tune, because you're making electronic music and you have FM going on, and you have sync going on, and you have delays, and you have detuners, and you have all this stuff going on, and you're basically kind of creating a harmonic sort of 3D space with sound, right? When you're making electronic music, no matter what genre you're in. So the noise is neutral, right? You have everything is kind of biased towards some sort of frequency, like your baseline is low, your source that is neutral. It's everything and nothing at the same time. So you can filter it and sculpt it to kind of fit exactly where you want it to fit in the mix, and you can make it do things that won't conflict with other things. Even if you it still doesn't have it doesn't have harmonic series. It doesn't have a harmonic bass. So it always stays neutral even if you do a lot of things to it. So let's start by showing in modular things you can do with noise. Obviously, like in a subtractive synth, but modular you can expand on that a little bit, and you can use this source in various ways. So first of all, in scope, different modulars will obviously have different noise oscillators, and sometimes they will sound differently. Sometimes they will not be, they will be colored just a little bit, let's say on a certain frequency. A noise generator that includes white noise and pink noise. Talk about this one. Before, you have a bandpass noise, which has two outputs. Which one of them is white noise, which is exactly the same as this white noise. And the other one is bandpass filtered, and it's filtered like by this slider, and it's very mellow. I'm guessing it's 6 dB octave bandpass filter inside, which is called DigiNoise. Noise just for a second. Sounds like to me a module which takes inside what is going on. There's white noise, a bit crusher, and a low pass filter. So close it, it seems to get a little bit more crushed. Sample rate maybe, but at the same time it's filtered. I think. It's possible it's not filtered. You could actually do this this module. Let's start with that. The completely white noise, and take out a fader. And this does exactly that. As you notice, I'm putting the modules on monophonic mode because we have no MIDI going on. We have no need for polyphony right now. It's kind of like an instinct for me, you know, like when you don't need a lot of DSP, put it on single, even though we're not using a lot. Just get used to working in this way, and it's also much more logical. And when we're going to build the patch itself, just if you need single, put it on single. Going to go into this is a decimator module, and you have a frequency setting, bitrate setting, and what is cool about this one is that you can modulate the frequency setting, and it doesn't click. If you've used other bit crushers, usually they have like there's a steppiness as you divide the frequency, and this is really a smooth one. This is a really good decimator. And like you've heard here as well, if you connect just this, you can hear the decimation is smooth. There is no stepping. If you use Logic's or Cubase's bit crusher, then when you move the sample rate, the other position, and you have no smoothing. One. We'll connect the noise generator to the decimator, and we'll go out. Let's check if it's the same sound. Oh my, it's exactly the same. Huh, cool. Put this on all the way up, and this on all the way up. And then you see here, there's a mod input. And here there's a they call it frequency modulation. It's exactly the same. It's a mod input for the decimator. So let's have one control. Let's have a sine LFO and compare. It's like a static crossfade. I'm learning with you guys here. I'm checking it out. Like, it interests me, you know. I don't know. Modular test. Let's see if it sounds the same. So I'm connecting the output of the diginoise to one input here of this. It's basically a mixer, and then the output of the noise that's going into our decimator into and then all the way to the left will be the diginoise, and all the way to the right will be our noise plus decimator. And if we output this, one more thing I want to do before that, let's put the modulator on the same exact location on both of them. And I'm going to switch between them, and let's see if the sound stays the same. So almost, but not quite. So what does that tell us? What I'm guessing is it's the same modules, but the DigiNoise from Sonic Core has been locked inside with different scaling on this mod pot. So it's scaled a little differently and it's more pronounced. But the overall sound, if we take off the modulator, it's almost the same. Ours has a little bit more of a, you hear that? I don't know if you can hear it through the, this was just a little kind of like a, think of it like if you're playing a game, so this was a side quest. I just wanted to check that out. DigiNoise. Let's get rid of the bandpass filtered noise. Let's keep the white noise here. So okay, so we have a white noise. And I'm going to show you some cool things you can do with him. Obviously, you can do things that are with MIDI or without MIDI. You can do like self-sustaining things. It's really cool to do self-sustaining things. You can get really cool samples out of this, really cool drones, carpets, pads, really cool things. And we're going to start showing one thing. I'm going to take a sip of tea right here, and I'm going to be pulling out the bandpass filters while I drink some tea. Okay, let's pull out another one. I've pulled out 3 bandpass filters. Use them in different ways. You can let's just take a look into modular routing for a second. You can decide that you want the noise to go into the first filter separately to the second filter. Let's make this connection for a second. And then to a mixer. And then you can have mixed go to the outside world. What this will do in this configuration is I have 3 24 dB resonating bandpass filters, and you can get a really cool wind sound out of this by placing like each filter a little bit differently, kind of semi-randomly, and I'm giving them high resonance so they'll have like a little whistle to them. Let's hear it. Really cool industrial kind of noise, like, yeah, just like totally imagine it in a computer game, an evil game. Here, moment, this is very static, right? There's nothing going on. The noise is cool, but you can't possibly like, let's imagine that, yeah, it wasn't a game. So would you really like to be like going into a room in the game? This for 4 minutes? I guess it could work, but you could take the little extra to make it cooler. Start with a sine LFO. And I've mentioned before, I use this sine LFO basically because it has the slowest option in scope is 0.01 hertz. Exactly how long that is, you can check online how long an LFO of, it's like 20 or 30 seconds. Don't kill me if I'm wrong, if it's more or less. I think it's around there, maybe a little more. Doesn't go slower. Like on Nord Modular, one of the things that I did like, I mean, I love this modular and I think this is the best for me, it's the best. But one of the things that I did like the Nord modular over the scope modular is that the LFOs can go much slower. They can like go on and on and on using the sine LFO because this is our best option. I'm going to connect it to each one of the filters to one of the modulation inputs. So there is all the connections are made. What I'm going to do is, you notice each one of them is just like a little bit different. It's not like a huge difference between them. They have a little different resonating settings and a little bit different on the cutoff settings, and they're mixed, so they're producing a pretty cool kind of like a wall of sound. Just taking the sine LFO just one tick, just a small, oops. So there's variation. It's, it's always like sweeping slowly somewhere. Elaborate on this. You could have let's use the same sign, okay, and bring out something that we haven't used before, which is an inverter. It flips the sign. So think of a sign like there's obviously like a bottom and a top to a sine, right? Like it's as it is changing this cutoff knob right now, it's changing it like a little tiny bit. It's going lower and then higher, and it's doing the same to all of them, just for just because. Let's have the last one go through the inverter like it is. Then while these are going to the low side, this one is going to the high side, and vice versa. Let's connect it. Let's give it a few ticks. Hear it again. There's not going to be a huge difference. We're talking about really subtle difference in the way that, like, in the dynamic of the sound. It's making the sound alive. I think it's much cooler right now than it was at first. It's breathing, it's moving, it's sinking somewhere, you know? Really nice. Frequencies, like there's that cool whistle. You might want to use that if it fits into your soundscape. But let's shape it a little more. A low pass resonating filter. Just let's have it resonating just because we might want to have it like a little bit whistling as well. Let's open up a 24 high pass, and just my choice just to have it not the resonating type. But you obviously can have it the resonating type, or you can use whatever you want. Let's keep this parallel filtering going on. Mystery. I don't know. I just like it when it's really, really methodical, because as it grows, and what's going on. There we go. It's all on blue, and it's all not dangling like around. So everything is coming out of our mixer, and let's have it go. Let's have it go first to the low. Don't know. Yeah, let's have it go to the low pass. Choice. You can have it go to the high pass before. I do. The low pass and high pass, like you can use them just to shelve. You can use them as a band pass, like to shelve lows and shelve highs and create an area. But I'm gonna maybe resonate a little bit with the low pass and then use the high pass just to kill the lows. So maybe something like this. And maybe we should get some movement on the low pass, the inverted one or the regular one, not inverted one. Whatever you like, you know? I'm cool with that. Gives it a little bit more of a... And as before, if you've seen the previous, in one of the other videos, we talked about that like the mixer is not normalized. Let's make sure that it's not clipping. And I think it actually is clipping. So let's put in a peak meter. Put the mixer itself, yeah, it's clipping internally just a little bit. So let's take down each of the channels by like a notch, or 2 notches, clipping anymore. Um, so this is a really cool raw sound, and if you put some in reverb on it, cool. Look how dynamic it is over time. I'm going to be quiet for a minute. I know this is not like really good sound from the team viewer. Some reverb, a lot of reverb. Why some? Let's open it up. And then let's compress it. Use it like more like a gainer. So already really cool, and this is one thing that you can do with noise, and I want to emphasize one thing. This is what you heard just now is a winner, is a win for modular, and not only for modular, it's a win for digital modulars, and it's a win for scope modular, because even if you have a Euro rack modular or whatever, I doubt that most people, even if they have like really invested in their Euro racks and they have different kinds of filters and everything. So I'm sure they have great sound. I'm all for analog modulars, but you for sure don't have the option to just kind of whip out three same filter, have three bandpass resonating filters and have like a low pass. We're using five filters in this patch. Do you have any synth at home that isn't modular that has five filters inside? And I can open 10 more. So you can have like 20 filters. You can have as many as your DSP will take using any DSP almost. So this is a big win for modular. And if you have a good sounding modular like the Nord G2 or this system, then you're set for something that you probably can't do in the analog world unless you're like Hans Zimmer or someone like that that can kind of build whole rooms filled with filters. And for let's keep some of this design. You know what? Let's delete the oh, I shouldn't have deleted that. Let's do a thing before I do want to show some stuff that is just with one noise oscillator, but let's nevertheless these right here. Shame not to, so. And we had the I deleted the inverter back. Okay. It's not so bad. It's a good chance to see again what we just did. So we're back to the same situation. The other thing, the one more thing that I wanted to show was, okay, let's take a few ticks down again. Wait. So we did have that drone going on, you know? Oops, sorry. We did have that drone going on. We wanted to get a little crazier. MIDI clock. Let's take out a frequency divider. So these modules, use them all the time. LFO-B. Let's take out one for each filter. Give the LFOs the ability to BPM. Let's organize everything for just 1 second. And connect, we have the sine going into the first modulation input of each filter, and we have another free one, which is the second one, and I'm connecting for each filter. Let's put them on external input. Let's put one like on the BPM. Let's put the second one. Let's put it on 1/4. Let's put it on 1/16. So we have like distinctly different from each other. I'm gonna bring back the sound and let's see how they affect the things that are going on. It's not connected. Here we go. Soloing the cables. So this is cool random stuff going on, isn't it? You know what? I was going to delete all of this, but let's not. Let's keep all of it and show just how you midify this thing. So you have all this crazy stuff going on, right? And if you've seen we did very similar thing on another video. Let's take out a VCA. We already have a MIDI brain that just was by default I opened in the patch. Let's take out an AD in vintage in mod envelope because I do want the option to modulate the attack and decay. And we are making sure the envelope is actually telling the amplifier how to act. Connecting gate so the envelope knows when to start. We're going from our mixer into the VCA. See, now there will be no sound. Wait, hold on, let me make sure. Yeah, it is connected. So if we press play, now it is midified. And it's very it's like the same hits because of the MIDI, but the hits themselves are always changing. Let's add, you've seen me do this before, I guess. Let's add modulation to the decay knob. Gives it a really kind of like a playing feel. There we go. More dynamic. And of course, let's give the option to re-trigger each of the LFOs. So we have we have all this going on, and I think it's really nice already. It's really unique and evolving, and you have a good sound coming out of it. And let's add back. Let's make it kind of, let's take all the ideas that we talked about up till now and kind of put them all. So we had, remember we had like noise drone, and now we have the noise synth thing, kind of synth drum machine, whatever. And we also had low pass and high pass, kind of. So let's do that again. and keep it this time. So high pass, bye bye. And then this and going into the low pass. We have much more control over the tonality where it sits in the mix. And let's give this the option to be modulated a little bit. Cool. So let's, like I said, let's bring it all together. Let's also, you know, we had the drone, and all we did that kind of ruined the drone was putting in an envelope. And we did this previously. So let's do the same as we did in some other videos. Let's have the option to, no, let's have the filters post. Okay, I'll show you. The option of either the drone or the MIDI gated one going out. And this is simple enough. You might already know that you do this with a switch or not. You know, you can open a crossfade module, mixer module. I choose to do it with a switch. I want either this or that. This is with MIDI, and this is without, but it is with the crazy LFOs, so you can turn it down. You know what? I mentioned that you could do it with a crossfader. Let's do it with a crossfader because it'll show another part. We're trying to create something dynamic, right? So crossfade modulator. Crossfades that I've shown before were just static. You had a knob that showed that was like either to all the way to the left was the first input, all the way to the right was the other input, and whatever in between was a blend. But it didn't have a modulation input, and this one does. And this will allow us something really nice. So check it out. We're connecting like what would be the drone that is like before the envelope, before the MIDI. So that was like original the drone. After it's getting gated by MIDI, and it's going out. Without using the modulator, you have the option like all the way to the left. It's like a static crossfade, right? All the way to the left is this, and all the way to the right is this. What if we want to do something like this? What if we want to bring out another LFO? Let's dedicate, just, I don't know, just because, let's dedicate a frequency, let's dedicate a frequency divider to this LFO as well. So you can do something like this. Or you could turn off the external input, time evolve. So there was a mistake there. It should have been on a sign. Now it will change from eventually. It's on really slow LFO. It's not doing what I wanted to do. Maybe all the way to the left it's closed. No, it shouldn't be on the middle. It's too slow, I think. Let's try. I don't know why it's not working. It's working kind of like I wanted, but not exactly. Place it here, maybe? Okay, yeah. Okay, that's my fault. The reason is that like the LFO is bipolar, and I kind of treated it like a unipolar. If it would be unipolar, then it would go like all the way, like the sine doesn't have an up and down, so it would go like in one way, right? It would open it all the way and then go all the way. But since it's a sine, it has like an up and down, and then so it has to be like on the middle because it's going to this direction all the way and then to this direction all the way. Let's listen again. Now it should be correct. It'll sweep between the modes. And yeah, it's doing it. Really cool, huh? So we can use this opportunity to show you what happened right here with the LFOs. I can use this to show you like another way, another thing about how the modular works. Out a diode module. Now this diode module, let's connect the LFO to the diode. Modulation, like so before it was going straight to this and now it's going to the diode module. So look, it has a few drawings on it, and what it shows is like signal, and it's bipolar, right? It's going up and down like this sign. Then it basically ignores the down signal, so it'll go up and then back to the original, and then it won't move at all. Like as long as this is on the downside, this will be on the zero side. Flip the zero side. So it'll kind of like double the speed of the LFO, you know, because everything that was negative is now positive. So it'll be going, instead of going, ooh, it'll be going, ooh, like this, right? But it's really slow. So let's put it on this. And I'm showing you this because the mistake we did before was I put it here and assumed that like it would act like this, right? But it obviously it didn't. It acted like this. And that's why it needed to be here. So I hope I'm not making a complete fool of myself and will actually do what it should do and I think it should do. And so if you put it through here and on this and then take it all the way to the left, it should sound as though it was without it and in the middle. Let's see if it now sweeps. Does it? And it's made a fool of me. So I guess it's kind of doing it. I guess you have to kind of play with the settings. No, I think, okay, we might have, I know what went wrong, and yeah, I'm kind of dumb. Like I did show you the right thing. Right here, it does work this way, but it doesn't work this way with this module, because this module inside is unipolar, and it probably doesn't know how to handle this. So I guess some good did come out of this mistake that we did because, look, you can always test things, right? It's not acting the way you wanted, but there is a way to do what you wanted. And sometimes you will need a diode, and sometimes you will need an inverter, and we'll show you obvious situations where you do need them. Kind of tried to create one right here, and it obviously didn't work. Really cool things. Look at how cool. You can go into audio rate and mess it up, of course, but yeah, let's not do that. This is now you have like the two like really cool new drones and drums and like both of them together. And it can also you can also obviously like we've taken the three oscillators now, but you can obviously turn off two of them and use just one and get like a much narrower noise. So you get like with using one of them, like we did just now, we've turned two off. That sound, isn't it? Envelope a little more. Close this modulation. There we go. So the palette is really deep. Even with one osc, it gets obviously much deeper. I mean, I call it an osc. Yeah, it's basically an osc. Like it's three sound sources that are separate because they're getting filtered and with a pretty high resonance. Another thing that, another reason, you know how I've shown you that we've attached LFOs to each one of these, and they're kind of just changing the tone just a little bit over time. And another reason to do this is because your noise oscillators and they're on high resonance and they're mixed and they're creating like an atonal sound. And most of your other sounds in your track like will be somewhat in tune at least. They'll be like synths and instruments that are playing a tuned thing. So if there's like a distinct noise that is like always in the background and it's not exactly tuned, right? Because it's like an atonal sound, it'll kind of might screw around with the harmonic feeling of your track. So, but if you have it always dynamic and always moving, it's not so dominant, right? There's no one tone that is not harmonic to your track and is taking over your track. So it's really important, I think, if you're using noise sources and highly resonating sources, then to have them, it's important for like a million reasons to have things dynamic, but like this is one of the win reasons. Keep it dynamic so it doesn't mess around with your track. I'm going to be showing some more things that you can do with noise, but for this video, I think this wraps it up in a nice patch and a very usable thing and can get you going really fast. And as always, I'm going to probably say this in the end of every single video. As always, the key is to experiment, change it around. Use low pass filters instead of band pass filters. Use LFOs modulated by other LFOs. Use decimators for each one of these. Go crazy. To go totally insane. So, you know what? You know what? No, we're not going to end right now. We're going to do that. We're going to use decimators for each one of these. So just for a laugh, just one last thing that we're going to do. So I've opened 3 resonators, move mixer, get out of my way. Connecting mixer for a minute, and then giving decimator to each one of these. And obviously, yeah, we could have used the Creamer noise oscs. Instead, we're doing it our own way. So that's one of them. It's the second one. And then this is the third one. And that's to bring our sound that isn't one that is constant. So yeah. right? There we go. And then let's set each of the decimators a tiny bit differently. And now you're gonna want to modulate them, aren't you? All right. If you say so, your wish is my command. Do you want one for each or one for all? Let's start with the first one. Well, we have three. Yeah, one for each. Wow. So yeah, you can go insane. This is just to show you that you can go insane. And obviously, we didn't ruin anything at all, right? We can always go back. All we need to do is, actually, you can just turn it off right here. I think it should work. Sound. So we've added something that is non-destructive and it adds to the patch. So we can keep it in there. And as you can see, the DSP price is really not that high. Of course, you know I always recommend you to connect those gates. So all the LFOs have the option to be gated. And then let's do also remind you that you can, of course, connect note key follow to each one of these, as well as your like low pass and high pass, whatever you want. You can connect. You can delete the LFO-Bs, insert LFO-As, like I said before, and also have key follow going there. And that way, not only gate information, but also note information will have effect on what you're doing. Like exact frequency, but like the notes will affect. You can set them on different key follows, so you can get even more modulation going on here. But you know, you also want like a stable sort of sound, and this sounds good, so. Really cool. This has been like noise. Yeah, this will be the real ending of this video. So have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one. Hope you enjoyed this one and go experiment with those wild noises.